All right, everyone, welcome back to the Command Your Brand Show. I'm your host, Josh Silvestro, brand ambassador of Command Your Brand, where we help CEOs and founders get on top-rated podcasts. Definitely check us out at commandyourbrand.com and find out how you can be on podcasts with us. So in today's episode, I actually have a very special guest speaker who I'm always very interested in finding out more on just how people can be more creative, because we live in a day and age where kind of content is king. I'm sure you probably heard of that before, where, as much as you're making, you either make more, you have to, create it in certain ways to where people can attract to you and like you. And there's a certain arts to it. So today I actually have a special guest speaker who's really, really, diving deep into that. And he really loves, and he's very passionate about it. So I should introduce you guys to Jake. Jake, thanks for joining the show, man.
Thank you for having me. Very excited to be here.
Yeah. And so for you who don't know, he's actually the CEO and founder of Creative Mind, which he helps with a lot of creativity in content. He makes content for people. So Jake, I want to kind of talk to you about that. It's about your world of, content creation. So I guess what we'll first start off with is tell us a little bit about yourself and where you're from, and also why you're so passionate about Creative Mind.
So I always kind of jokingly say I'm an accidental marketer. Like, I never planned on being a marketer. I'm an artist through and through. I'm a filmmaker, photographer. So I grew up acting and then did the whole agent manager thing, LA kid, but basically wasn't getting I just felt like out of effect and was waiting for the next thing. And so I was just pretentious 16-year-old kid going, well, I'm just going to write and direct my own movies. I can be like Ben Affleck and Clint Eastwood and George Clooney. I could do that, obviously. And massively delusional. But went to film school.
Yeah.
Any good, little artist kid. And by the end of film school, I had totally forgotten that I actually even grew up acting. I had a passion for acting or anything like that, because I truly fell in love with the art of directing, and I truly found my passion there, and for the art of just filmmaking. And after film school, I got kind of, like most kids who go to art school, get hit with a ton of bricks, realizing, all right, what do I do now?
Yeah.
How do I make money in the real world? Film school does not teach you any of that. And as I was after film school, realizing the you could say where it all really culminated was seeing my younger brother, I'm the oldest of 4 kids, and my brother, who's 5 years younger than me, was making just shy of 6 figures and shooting videos with his camera on auto. And I was the kid who went to film school, who was the cliche, typical starving artist who didn't know what to do. And I realized what's the difference between him and I was he was a business major. And I went, okay, I need to learn business. And that's where I kind of ended up finding my niche in social media. I had a mentor at the time who basically said, keep a camera in your hand and get paid to practice. If you want to make movies, you want to, direct, well, shoot, directors shoot. And so I basically took any job that kind of kept a camera in hand. Most of it ended up being in the marketing niche. At least I niched down a little bit. And I started becoming a social media guy. So to date, we've done over 1 billion views online, worked with brands like Callaway, Travis Mathew, done a decent amount of golf stuff, LA Golf, but then, worked with brands like Campari and 511, to large Amazon brands, to working with entrepreneurs like Grant Cardone. So kind of hit the gamut of cross things, but really found kind of our niche in social media, in marketing, and with kind of the through line of being storytelling. And that's kind of, you could say, that unique, selling proposition, as they say in the business world.
Yeah.
What separates you from others is that I don't have an MBA in advertising. I didn't come from the business world or the advertising marketing world. I came from the filmmaking world and and then went into marketing and advertising. And so very story driven, very, message driven, and kind of always helping businesses and entrepreneurs kind of, what are we wanting to communicate? Well, let's find the best way to tell that story.
Interesting. And so what made you decide this was was there something key that happened where like, okay, like I want to do social media, all this social media stuff. Like what was the driving, what drove you into that? Like, this is it. This is like my key thing. This is what I want to do the rest of my life. I love it so much.
Well, people kept going, I'll pay you to help me do this. And I went, I need money. Kind of actually. Like, I mean, it's not, it's nothing was literally is probably as simple as that. This was a found a niche of like, I'm actually pretty good at this. It's kind of interesting, in the world of advertising. Because also like I looked at always, my goal still is to make movies and television shows. I'm still actively working on that passion. And for those who know the artist space, it's a longer runway. It's not just like, okay, great, you know, do that. And I looked at like, okay, where did filmmakers come up that I admire? How did they, what were they doing pre-making movies and pre-becoming the superstars that they were? And in my generation, the guys that I admired came from probably two main pathways, which one was music videos, which as we know now is completely dead. Nobody's making music videos these days, or advertising. Ridley and Tony Scott came from the advertising world. I mean, you had Christopher Nolan who came from the corporate world. You had Fincher to Michael Bay, again, come from the advertising world. So I went, okay, great. If advertising and marketing is a way that these storytellers and these amazing filmmakers kind of cut their teeth and really learned the craft and got to show their unique storytelling abilities through commercials, well, I could kind of do the same thing in marketing. And then basically I don't know, I just saw social media as kind of the way everything's going. So I just kind of kept going, doing it. And, I kind of just got better and better and better as I did it. And it just figured it out. It was never, again, the plan. And I've wrestled with it back and forth. It was never like, oh, I love this. It's kind of like, I want to make movies. But I kind of really good. And I do love this, but I don't want to be known as a social media. So from a total transparency, it was never a clean, oh, I love this. This is what I want to do for the rest of my life. But it was, I love this. And how do I do it all at the same time?
Interesting. And so, obviously you've helped a lot of people. You mentioned like different businesses and different companies and even some of the bigger branches of companies that are just the biggest in the world. Like, what do you find that work? Because I know a lot of business owners today, they make a lot of mistakes and sometimes they try to do things that they think is right, but maybe not be the right thing. Like, what do you find? What are some mistakes that people make that really make it so that they actually don't get seen, or maybe the right video isn't the correct what they're promoting? Like, what are some mistakes people make with that as, business owners or, content type people? Like, what are the mistakes they make, do you think?
Totally. So I look at that in kind of two categories of businesses, because and from the mistakes, they're either, so you have either the startup, right? I work with a lot of entrepreneurs who are just getting their personal brand out there. Mm-hmm. They might have a business, they might not have a business, or they've sold a business a while ago and then they want to do the personal brand, or companies that are very new, whether pre-rev, early rev, to then very large companies. And I see two different mistakes from that. So that's why I wanted to qualify that first. So from the companies or personal brands or whatever that are very early on, is the mistake I see is that they get scared. Basically, fear is the common thread between both of them. And they are like, I don't want to be cringy. I don't want to, this is embarrassing. This is awkward. There's this fear that stops them from just putting out content. You don't get good without practicing. So the best way to get good is just to practice. Now, the big guys are on the same side. They get fear as it needs to be right. Oh God, if we put something out and it's wrong, oh God, what is it going to do to there's this fear that stops them from doing. And basically with them, I've noticed is that you don't know until you test. You test by doing it. And social media moves so fast that you have to just try. And you have to, like, you could do something, then you have 3 months of deliberation with your internal teams going up and down the corporate ladder, and then it's why even post this anymore? Like, it's not relevant.
Yeah.
It's a silly TikTok. Post it, it'll do something.
Yeah.
Or you'll learn from it. And so there's a speed that needs to be had at both levels, but it's that fear of like, oh, what is this gonna like, it's get the right people who understand the brand, give them a little bit of autonomy. I'm not saying don't have any oversight over them, but social media is a very fluid moving, quick moving river. It's not a pond. It's a rapid, and you just got to kind of keep putting stuff out there.
Interesting. Because I know a lot of people, what they run into the most is, they put content out, but they always get so discouraged because it's like 10 views. They want like 1,000 or a couple thousand. And they always expect, how some people just expect, I want it to blow up my first video. I want to blow up the second video.
100%.
And I think they have this far expectation. They see someone, or what they do is they also compare themselves with other people. Like, wow, like Mr. Beast is getting like 500,000 or 1 million. He gets like 2 million every 3 hours. Like, why am I not getting that? You know what I mean? Like but obviously he's an extreme example because he's got 200 million subscribers.
But even still with him, and because he talks about this all the time, and realize this, when because I handle this all the time with the entrepreneurs and companies I work with all the time. And first, I'm gonna circle back, but not all views are created equal. We just have to understand not all views are created equal. If you had 1 million views from India and you're a local car repair business in Wyoming, it's not going to help you. It's not going to help grow your business. But if you had 10 views of all people in Wyoming to help that needed, fixes on their cars, and you had 10 new cars come in today, could change your business. Right. And then, I look at Mr. Beast because, again, I get these, 1 million views. It's like, are we in entertainment? Are you working on entertainment or growing your business? If you're in entertainment, yes, you need 1 million views because that is the business. The same way Tom Cruise's movie needs to get millions of dollars in the box office. He is in entertainment. Are you an entertainer or are you a business owner? Millions of views do not mean millions of dollars.
Right.
And it's totally fine. Like, I have a guy that literally, so one of the services we offer is digital shows. It's basically an elevated video podcast. It's like a talk show. And I was talking about him to help his business. And then as we were going back and forth on ideas, and I was like, oh, we could do this, and that. And I was like, oh, that's awesome. And I could do this. And he basically took the show idea and made it a more of an entertainment idea. He's like, I don't care about growing my business. My business is not, it's growing fine on its own, but this could, serve as a platform. I could then talk about my beliefs and my opinions and make it a bit more of a actual talk show rather than a show to help grow his company. And basically then the views matter because it's entertainment. It has nothing to do to drive the business. And so that's where storytelling, in my opinion, comes in, regardless of if you're trying to grow your business through media or are you trying to grow entertainment. Storytelling matters, and storytelling is going to be different on both of those.
Interesting. Yeah, it's fascinating because, like, there is a way to communicate, and it's when you have those two ideas of like, oh, I want to be entertained, or is it for my personal brand? Like, that's what you should need to figure out. And I think there has to be an underlying thing where, okay, what am I doing these medias for? You know what I mean? Like, a lot of people, they want to grow their social media because they think, oh, I can make an extra income source from there. You know what I mean? But there's a little source or a little more to that than just, I want to make money off of it. You know what I mean?
Analogy that I have, or not analogy, that's not the right word. Whatever. A story. What's the word that I'm looking for? That starts with an A. That means story.
Yeah.
A story that I have on that is from a mentor who has a big business channel. He's big, successful, entrepreneur, and does a lot of social media. And he had looked at Mr. Beast and did the same and did that and went, okay, great. Mr. Beast gets millions of views. Let me switch from very educational content to more of this edutainment content. Right? His views 10x'd. Views were straight up. The graph looked amazing in terms of the KPIs on YouTube and social media. Then he looked at all the other secondary KPIs, all the lead clicks, all of the, conversions on the back end, his website visits, his book sales, all of those were down. He ran it for 3 months and all of the other stats were just, his views were doing this. All of the actual stats that actually matter in the business were down. And he went, great. We tested that. We're never doing that again.
Yeah. Wow.
And he occasionally throws out a little bit of, but it's not like where it went, all right, all we're doing is edutainment. He goes, okay, great. We're going to throw out 1 or 2 little things to get little pops of views to get reach to a slightly new audience here or there. But great. Because the views that matter was book sales, because that leads to more conversions. Website clicks, that leads to more conversions. Downloads, that leads to more. What are the actual KPIs that matter for your business? Let's make sure the content is driving that. That is the purpose of the content. The purpose is not just views. Okay, great. If we want views, you're an entertainer. We're going to do brand deals.
Yeah.
You got to look at the customer journey. You have awareness, consideration, then intent, and then purchasing. If we're getting attention, but with nothing else on the other 3, who cares? Sorry for my passion. And that's where, at the end of the day, I say I'm an accidental marketer. I didn't plan on doing any of this. I didn't plan on being passionate about this. But as I kept getting, from a full circle story on it all, this is where I've now become very weirdly passionate about it all.
Yeah. I can understand too. A lot of people, they kind of, excuse my French, but they don't really give a crap about how, they want to get the views because they want the money to come in, in reality, because people do it because I want to make videos to get people's attention and really just do it. But it's you have to find also that, I feel like you have to find that niche too of where can you you can take it, because a lot of people, sometimes they're a little too broad with their things. And so it's a little hard to grab their attention unless, like you mentioned, entertainment's as a really big area, because a lot of people watch YouTube, for example. I think there's a stat that I heard about, I think 2 days ago, where there's I think the views of shorts is 300 billion per day, which is crazy to me.
And also, most of the majority of YouTube is, guess what device majority of YouTube is being watched on now?
Cell phones.
Nope.
No, what is it?
Physical televisions.
Really?
On actual living room, dining, actual televisions. That's where most of YouTube is being watched now, or over 50%.
Wow.
Compared to tablets, cell phones, and other portable devices.
Wow. That's incredible.
Yeah.
So I guess I feel like you also have to think about how you present your content, because now it's for people that are watching it that are on TV. You have to watch it and people who are watching it on TV, you have to plan it out and sort of make it more of a television oriented, because it is an entertainment type thing, right?
Yes, but that's where at the same time, if you're doing content as for your business, you're going to design it in a way for people who are interested in solving these problems. They're going to watch your content. Right. They're not looking to be entertained. If you're looking to be entertained, you're not looking. What do? Next commercial. I don't care.
Yeah.
Flip commercials, skip. To the point where we don't even watch intro sequences anymore for movies and television shows. Next. I don't even care about seeing credits for 30 seconds. It's not even an ad, and we're skipping it. And so if you're that, invested in, it's okay, great. You need to make content that people enjoy. And then they go, dang, man, this guy solves, I understand. Yeah. But then that's where understanding the full customer journey. And, I end up doing a lot of consulting, because they're great. Hey, we're doing numbers, but my business isn't growing. It's yeah, well, you don't have a lead gen funnel. Your funnel, or you don't even have a lead gen item. You don't have a funnel. You don't have a follow-up sequence. You don't have all of these things. Once you're getting views, where are we sending them? what's on your website?
Yeah.
All these next things that a business needs.
So do you think they should have all those set up before they actually even roll with YouTube? Like, should all these automation
No,
places, or
because you can, like, as stupid as it is, it can go through the DMs. But you just have to understand what's the customer journey, right? I've heard the story about this woman who does over $1 million a year, and she's got like 700 Instagram followers. Her views get, maybe 1,000 views a video on her Instagram. And she's doing $1 million business all through her Instagram. And it's not, again, we're not millions of views, not hundreds of thousands of views, literally like 2,000-3,000 views, a couple hundred followers, and she's doing over $1 million a year through her Instagram. And she does it through her DMs. Like, but it's just understanding that how you're getting your clients from attention into going, oh, okay, this is interesting. What's the call to action? Are they going to go to your DMs? Are they going to go to a lead gen? Are they going to go to this? Are they going to go to that? There's automations where you can just say, hey, DM me if you want this, blah, blah, blah. And then you can have different apps, one not affiliated with it, but ManyChat, ManyChat, sets up, DM automations where you can send them an ebook, send them a webinar, send them a this, send them a that. And then boom, now they're in the pipeline. Now you can follow up with them. Now you can have a real conversation with them. You can just do it manually. That's why I love working with like B2B entrepreneurs, because they understand the value of one client. Like, if you got one new client, would that change your life? But even e-com businesses, if you got 10% more clients, if you went from, 100 sales a day to 110 sales a day, like, businesses don't need that much. But if they just had a literal 10% increase every day, every week, how much would that change your business? So at least for me, I know for myself as an entrepreneur, it's, think big. Hey, let's have 1 million customers overnight. We wouldn't know what to do with 1 million customers. We wouldn't know what to do. We wouldn't know what to do with 100 new customers.
So basically, also you're saying too is that it really isn't dependent on the views or the subscribers, I guess, because like if she has, like the example you gave, like she had like 700 like subscribers,
Yeah,
and like 1,000 watches on her one video or a few video, like she had at least 1,000. So it really isn't about the views or the subscriptions. It's just how well you connect with the customers.
100%, 100%, and it's speaking to them, speaking to why do they need your help? Because at the end of the day, like, the best content you can make as a business owner is content that lets you get in front of your audience, that speaks to them, and builds trust. Because at the end of the day, people do business with people they know and people they trust. So all you have to do is go, this is what I do, and here's some things that can build trust, and I'm just giving you free trust. This is what I do. This is what I do. If you look at guys who've built amazing media empires, right? From Alex Hormozi, Grant Cardone, Gary Vee, I'm just getting into Dan Martell, but then you have Patrick Bet-David. You have like all of these top media entrepreneurs. They're just free stuff. Here's all this free stuff. Here's this free help. You trust them. You know what they're about. If you're going to work with Gary Vee, it's going to be different than Grant Cardone. If you're going to work with Patrick Bet-David, he's different than those boys, and you get attracted to them. You go, okay, ooh, I like his vibe. I don't like his vibe, but I like his vibe. You know what? I'll give you, $5,000 for your course because I trust you, or I want to do business with you because I know your shit.
Yeah. So like if you're starting a business, let's say you're starting something from scratch, like social media, like you have your own, like here's one platform, let's say Instagram or whatever, right? What do you say, like, what do you think you should start off with in terms of, let's say you're a business owner and you want to like put content educating people. Like, what do you think the first steps should be in building? Because you mentioned there's a lot of these guys that have free stuff, right? That already have things set up. What would you start with in terms of like having before you even hit those, social media stuff, like posting? Like, I mean, you can certainly post, but what should any CEO and founder, what should they have on that platform, you can say.
I mean, I think the simplicity is just start posting. Like, the best thing you can do is start providing free value and don't ask for anything. Like, it's a long game. Like, especially in the organic, like if you want a faster return, do paid ads, do direct messaging, do direct marketing. Organic social media is a bit of a PR game. The same way with going on podcasts. You're not going to get directly, oh, I did one show, I'm going to get 6 clients, right? But you do a year of podcasts, people are like, dude, why do I just keep seeing this dude everywhere online? Every podcast that I kind of like or I see clips of, this dude is popping up on. Okay, hold on. Let me look at this dude, right? But then at the same time, if you have your own social media going out, people start seeing it. Okay. And so I always recommend, like, the best bang for your buck, you're going to say, is start with shorts, right? Whether it's being on a podcast so that you can get the clips or doing direct shorts to camera, because TikTok changed everything about, 8 years ago, where never before in history could you put out a video and literally get hundreds of millions of views for free. Never before in history could you get that degree of advertising, which is just getting in front of people, for zero cost with 0 followers. Like, never before in history has that ever been possible. So now that might happen, might not happen. But I just saw there's this girl. Now, look, not a business. She's does the TikTok girl thing. And then literally, though, 1 million followers in 2 weeks.
Wow.
And if she's doing 1 million followers, that means she's doing hundreds of millions of views in 2 weeks. And she's just doing, the TikTok dancey, trendy stuff. And, I think she's a cute little Asian girl or something like that. But my point is, never before in history has that been possible. And if you had 1 million customers walk into your door right now or called your salespeople, you couldn't handle that volume. Like, right. As an entrepreneur, really look at yourself and be like, okay, I couldn't actually handle that volume. How many calls could your sales team right now take in a day? So you don't need 1 million views. What you need is like 10 of the right views of people going, Josh, I need to get on podcast right now.
Yeah.
Get me on any podcast that get me on podcast. 10 clients right now. Could you onboard? Not even that your sales team could take, but what about your onboarding team could take? Even, and if you're B2C, could you, supply 20 new products a day, 50 new products a day, 100 new, like, are you set up to service that? Like, I've worked with top level Amazon sellers. Like, there is a cap to how much they can sell because they don't physically have the products in warehouses to ship out. They don't have the staff to package the products, put labels on them, send them out. Like, there is a certain point that you can't deliver. So these are advertising this is what the problems that we want to create for the business. These are good problems that I like to remind entrepreneurs. These are the problems you want to have. So in terms of what you should set up, you don't need anything set up. You could just start putting out content. But having all these things as you continue to grow is only going to help convert everything better, faster, easier.
Interesting. Wow. Okay, cool. Well, Jake, I really appreciate the time you've just given us on all these. I hope we don't get sued, by the way, by YouTube or something, for all dumping all their secrets. But I really appreciate the time you've given us, on a lot of these things, on how, views and subscriptions really doesn't matter. It's really how much, just keep putting content out there, free stuff, educational stuff, whatever, but you're doing it in a way to attract the right customers and you're getting the right products out of it. So I think that's a valuable lesson that everyone who's listening can kind of know what to do with that. So I really appreciate that.
Awesome.
Yeah. And of course, I also think, actually I was going to mention also, you had something I want people to connect with you. I think that was probably the best part. So where can
Sure.
people connect with you if they want to know who you are?
LinkedIn is easy, Jake
Yeah.
Isham. Otherwise, I mean, I have a million social media channels because, as you know, all my filmmaking and photography. So pretty much, if you find me, even if it's my art stuff, feel free to shoot me a DM.
Awesome. Well, Jake, I really appreciate the time you've given us, and I thank everyone for listening to our episode here. If you guys like this, like and subscribe to us, and I'd love you guys to check us out. And if you guys want to get on podcast too, definitely check us out at
Most importantly, share it.
Yeah.
Most importantly, share it.
Share it. Absolutely. Share this stuff. And then also check us out on commandyourbrand.com, get on more podcasts. And Jake, it was an honor talking to you, man.
Likewise.